Hello everyone, welcome to my video for my CYB 610 course. My second hack part 2. I'm just gonna make this one quick. If you guys like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. This is my second part of my lab. Other than that, let's get on with the video. So in this lab, we were in charge of using the Burp Suite and how could it be used to help secure a website. And so the Burp Suite was known to be a type of tool in the Kali Linux, which was used to pretty much help give you like a different way of kind of communicating with the web server, as well as like testing a target out to see what's currently happening. So the way it worked for me here was that I was able to use my Chioptrix level 2 machine, and then from my Kali Linux machine be able to pretty much try to create the request from the Burp Suite. So the way it usually works is that you get the IP address which is associated with the Chioptrix machine, and then you are able to find it and then run the Burp scanner through there. And so from there, the next thing you see is that there's a Burp CA certificate. If you look, the Burp CA certificate, it's pretty much known to be a type of authentication type of process in which it tries to help make sure that the site which you're trying to get on is not fraudulent. And so being able to have Burp break down the TLS connection, it makes it a lot easier overall to connect to the layer you're trying to access more securely. And so it's kind of a little like breakdown. Pretty much is usually generated every time you like launch Burp, but it's usually stored locally. And so it works for a majority of websites, but it just makes sure that the certificate is valid. So that's why when you see CA certificate, it's pretty much just talking about the best way of making sure that the information you're going through is valid. So CA certificate is known as Certificate Authority Certificate. That's what I was just talking about with Burp. It's known for ensuring the integrity of the certificates that are used within the applications that are used to establish the identity of the CA, which is the certificate authority, when signing other digital certificates. So pretty much what that's known for is that whenever you have digital certificates, you have to make sure that you have a signature, because what a signature does is that it makes sure that there's validity and integrity behind it. So being able to have a certificate is very beneficial, very helpful. A CA certificate, and it works coherently with Burp. Next thing is SQL injection. SQL injection, which is known for the language of SQL, which is database language, is known for being a malware attack in which the malicious user attempts to gain access to a database and its critical information. The way this usually works is that these are more of like attacks in which the user will enter in malicious code, like malicious SQL code, in actual text boxes in order for the information of the application or the web page to bring back sensitive information. And so this is a very common tactic, especially when you see a lot of databases and a lot of accounts being used. And so some of these websites are targeted because if they're not programmed correctly, it could be able to leak out sensitive information. So it's very important to make sure that this information is taken care of and it's secure. And so with SQL injection, you have to make sure you have the best mitigation steps. And that will first start based off of the 3 types of examples for injection, for SQL injection, before I get to that. So the first thing is or 1 is equal to 1. Pretty much this is a very common string. You've seen this a lot in SQL injection. What it tries to do is that it tries to bypass authentication and allow access without permission by making sure that whatever malicious code they're entering is equal to 1. So I've seen this a lot, even on like the Security Plus exam. It's very common for that to have that similar notation. The second one, select from where games or ID is equal to 1. So pretty much what it tries to do is that it's known for returning all the products instead of just like 1 with the ID. And so since the condition is true, it's gonna always be returning products. And so you can see people try to like fish and take like sensitive information out of that. Number 3, select from where counts, where username equal drop table accounts. Pretty much what that tries to do is you look at the code and it's going to potentially create data loss because it's going to continue moving information out of the table and it's going to leak it out somewhere else. So those are just some examples of how SQL injection works. So some of the best mitigation techniques which can be used for this, we see that parameterized queries, the use of stored procedures, and also valid input validation and error handling. So using stored procedures and parameterized queries is like you're pretty much prepared for that, just making sure that you have like the right concept and the right programming. But in terms of input validation and error handling, we see that it's very important to make sure that you're following the correct programming practices. The reason why you do this is because if you have the correct input validation, you should be able to make sure that these type of attacks do not occur. So you got to make sure that your code is strong. And so if we couldn't upgrade and replace the OS, the first thing which I would do is make sure that security audits are done for the device. So if I can't upgrade or replace the actual vulnerable operating system, the best thing would be to do is to actually update the security patches within there. And so it may not be in the actual operating system, it may just be with the infrastructure itself, but making sure if the OS was not available, making sure that all the other security elements of whatever is being worked on must be secure. So that's why I would conduct the security assessments. In terms of that, if the network was infected, if I'm using a vulnerable operating system, the best thing to do is segment the network. By being able to isolate it, you could be able to continue to work on the best operations of securing whatever you're working on. But most importantly, being able to separate it from like the main server is very beneficial, because what it does is that it doesn't slow down any other servers or any other services around you. So being able to segment a network is very beneficial as well. So that's a really good mitigation technique. And so in terms of the security network architecture that will protect the organization from a vulnerable operating system. So I've already talked about network segmentation. So the use of intrusion detection and prevention systems is very beneficial, because if you have your network architecture set up that way, what it should do is that it should let you know if there's any data being taken out or any requests being put in to try to take sensitive data. So having these type of like systems, the IPS and IDS, would make it very easy to detect any types of faults which are currently going on with the system. In addition to the network, being able to configure something like a web application firewall is very important, because having a web application firewall, what that does is that it combines a mixture of detection and mitigation for a firewall. It's a little pricey, but it works well in terms of privacy. In terms of proper logging, just to make sure that, you have to make sure all systems are correct. That can work really well, especially with auditing, because following the right logs is very beneficial. Lastly, proper authentication using VPNs and multi-factor authentication is the best way, just to make sure your security is safe, especially when it comes to a vulnerable OS. In terms of incorporating a defense methodology, so the way I would break it down, so we have different types of controls. So physical security is usually known for having physical controls as like surveillance, as footage, usually like bodyguards. It's very beneficial in terms of like breaking stuff down. In terms of network security, we see that VPNs are very beneficial in terms of making sure that your traffic you have between the tunnel is encrypted, as well as having next generation firewalls, as I mentioned earlier, with like the flexibility of it. Lastly, with data security, using encryption, using data masking to make sure that sensitive data is not used but is also protected, especially when being tested. And also, if any data is launched or taken out, you can use data loss prevention systems. Very beneficial, very helpful. Quick little presentation. That's just my part 2 of my lab. Yeah, I'm just making it kind of quick today. If you guys have any other questions, please comment, like, and subscribe. Other than that, I'm making it really short. You guys stay blessed. Rayo and Tech out. Peace.